call of business is roll call.
Dana Hollinger.
Here.
Margaret Brown.
Here.
Frank Ruffino for Fiona Ma.
Coming.
On his way.
David Miller. Here. Jason Perez.
Excused.
Bill Slayton.
Here.
Lynn Paquin for Betty Yee.
Great. The first order of business is the election of the Risk and Audit Committee Chair and Vice Chair, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to Bill Slayton.
All right, we'll have the Risk and Audit Committee will open for nominations for chair. I'll call on Mr. Miller.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to nominate Dana Hollinger for chair of the committee.
So Ms. Hollinger has been nominated for chair of the Risk and Audit Committee. Are there any further nominations? Any further nominations? Final time, any further nominations? Hearing no response, nominations are closed. I'll entertain a motion to elect Dana Hollinger as chair by acclamation. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Moved by Brown, second by Ms. Paquin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, and now for the election of vice chair for the Risk and Audit Committee. Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Ms.
I nominate David.
Go ahead.
I nominate David Miller as for vice chair for this committee.
Okay, thank you. Do I have any other motions? Again, do I have any other motions? Third time, any other motions? I move to, can I have a motion for David Miller as vice chair of Risk and Audit?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Brown, seconded by Slayton. Congratulations.
Got to have a vote.
Oh, can we have a vote for David Miller? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations. So we'll just take a minute to move the chairs. Okay. Are we good, Pam? Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, there you go. Welcome. The next order of business is the approval of the February 20th, 2019 Risk and Audit Committee timed agenda. Do I have a motion for approval?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, moved by Brown, seconded by Miller. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion's forward. I'm sorry. Yes.
Madam Chair, can I abstain on that, please?
Yes.
Thank
Please note for the record that Mr. Ruffino has abstained. Okay. Next item, agenda item 4 is the executive report. Ms. Timberlake Diadamo.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Madam Chair and committee members, Marlene Timberlake Diadamo, Calpers team member. First, I'd like to congratulate Ms. Hollinger and Mr. Miller on their new positions as Chair and Vice Chair of the Risk and Audit Committee. I'd also like to welcome Fiona Ma and Mr. Rufino as her delegate, and Mr. Perez to the committee. I look forward to working with all of you in the future. In November, the committee instructed the staff to reissue the RFP for the independent financial statement auditor for the next 5 years. Today, the committee will interview and score the 4 finalists and, if appropriate, select a final firm that will be awarded the contract. We will also be presenting the mid-year plans for enterprise compliance and enterprise risk management. Both mid-year plans will provide updates on activities completed in the first half of the fiscal year 2018-2019. The next Risk and Audit Committee meeting is scheduled for June 18th, 2019, and includes the annual plans for enterprise risk management, enterprise compliance, and the Office of Audit Services, the independent auditor's annual plan, third-party valuation and certification of the contracting public agency plans, and the semi-annual enterprise risk framework review. Thank you, Madam Chair. This concludes my report, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Seeing no questions, let's move on to item 5, the action consent items.
So the first item is the approval of the minutes for the November 14th, 2018 meeting.
Okay, since this is an action item, do I have a motion for approval of the November 14th, 2018 risk? Okay, moved by Miller.
Second.
Second by Brown. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, abstain by Mr. Rufino. Okay, motion moves forward. 5B, review of the Risk and Audit Committee delegation. Ms. Diadamo.
Yes, this is the annual item to review and approve the committee's delegation. The delegation is before you, and it has not changed since last year.
Okay. And on item 6, which is our information consent item.
You have to approve it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so motion to approve the review of the Risk and Audit Committee delegations. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Miller, second by Ms. Paquin. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion, Mr. Rufino, aye, okay. Okay, so motion moves forward. On item 6, our information consent items, I haven't been asked to pull anything on the calendar. So then we can move on to item 7, which are the action agenda items, and it's the finalist interviews for the independent financial statement auditor. And with that, I'll call on Ms. Shapui.
Lee Shapui, Office of Audit Services. Madam Chair, I'll have
Can you speak a little louder? It's hard.
I'll have you start with the introductions, and then I'll read my portion of it, please.
Okay. So today, the Risk and Audit Committee is interviewing the finalists for the Independent Financial Statement Auditor. That's the request for proposal number 2018-8556. Committee members, in accordance with the RFP, we as a group will determine an interview score for each finalist and make a motion to adopt the interview score with a maximum of 700 points. At this time, I would like to ask Ms. Shapui, Chief Auditor, to provide a summary of the RFP activities to date and the logistics of the interview process.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Calpers Board of Administration has delegated to this committee the authority to conduct the selection of board's independent financial statement auditor and to recommend the finalists to the board. On November 28, 2018, Calpers released the RFP number 2018-8556 to seek additional vendor participation to perform audits of Calpers financial statements for fiscal years 2018-19 through 2022-23. Calpers received 5 proposals by the final filing date of January 14, 2019. Four of the proposals passed the technical proposal evaluations and had their fee proposals opened and scored. All 4 finalists, BDO, Clifton Larson Allen, Deloitte & Touche, and KPMG, were invited for the oral interviews as scheduled today. I would like to take the time to update the committee on the preliminary total scores of the firms based on the highest to lowest scores. Clifton Larson Allen received 300 points for their fee proposal score and 50 points for committing to participate in the DVBE preference program for a preliminary total score of 350 points. BDO received 236 points for their fee proposal score and 30 points for committing to participate in the DVB preference program for a preliminary total score of 266 points. Deloitte & Touche received 181 points for their fee proposal score and 30 points for committing to participate in the DVB preference program for a preliminary total score of 211 points. KPMG received 172 points for their fee proposal score and 30 points for committing to participate in the DVBE preference program for a preliminary total score of 202 points. Each finalist will be allotted 30 minutes for the interview, 10 minutes for presentation, and 20 minutes for questions and answers. All finalists should be asked the same questions. Time permitting, committee members may ask up to 3 clarification questions as needed. At the conclusion of the interviews, the committee will determine an interview score as a group for each finalist and motion the interview scores. The interview scores will be collected and combined with the preliminary total scores to determine a total score for each finalist. The committee will then be asked to make a motion recommending the board award the contract to the finalist with the highest total score, subject to final negotiations and satisfaction of all requirements. At this time, I would like to remind the finalists that each of your firms signed and submitted the Calpers Full Board of Administration interview form with the proposal. This form represents a pledge that each of you will not make any attempt to listen to or watch the interviews with the other finalists, nor have anyone do so on your behalf. Failure to adhere to this requirement will result in your firm's disqualification from this engagement. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Chapui, for the overview. I want to remind the committee that once we start, please stay through the entire interview process. I would now ask the roll be taken so that the record reflects the committee members present and participating in the interview and selection process for this contract. Roll call.
Dana Hollinger,
Here.
Margaret Brown,
Here.
Frank Ruffino,
Here.
David Miller,
Here.
Jason Perez,
Excused.
Bill Slayton, Lynn Paquin, for Betty Yee.
Great. We will now conduct the interviews in alphabetical order. BDO USA LLP will be first. Clifton Larson Allen LLP will be second. Deloitte & Touche LLP will be third. And KPMG LLP will be the last interview. Each finalist will have 10 minutes for a presentation and 20 minutes for a question and answer period. The clock located in front will show you the time remaining in each segment. Committee members, please note that the questions we can ask all finalists are included in item 2 of the finalist interview packet. Scores will be determined as a group after all the finalists have been interviewed. A score will be motioned for discussion and then seconded and voted upon, or a substitute motion will be made. Discussion of scores should only be done via motion. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, Madam Chair? Can we just take a moment? He needs to get his binder.
Oh, sure, of course.
Thank you.
Okay, one sec. Just one sec. Okay, great. If there are no questions at this point, we will now begin the interviews. So I would like to invite all representatives of BDO USA to come forward. Please be seated right here in this front row section, and ask Clifton Larson Allen, Deloitte, and KPMG and all their representatives to please leave the auditorium. Wow. It's like we called Central Cast.
Yes. So what tab do we start with? Are we starting with? Okay. Well, do you know which tab we start with? I just want to be sure. So 4A is the first one.
Is there? Yeah. I just kind of have mine. Yes, that's BDO.
Okay.
And then you have,
We go.
This button.
good afternoon, and I want to thank you all for your time and for being here. You will have 10 minutes to do your presentation. We will start the clock as soon as you begin to speak, and I think from your vantage point, you'll be able to see it here. We have it there. At the end of 10 minutes, there'll be a question and answer. So feel free to begin when you're comfortable.
One more time there. No.
There he goes.
Okay. And all of you, just so you know, before you, there's a little button to press that should connect to your mic so you can tell when they're on, because there'll be a red light. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and committee members, and good afternoon, everyone else. We'd like to thank the opportunity to be here today. We also want to express our excitement for the opportunity to serve both the board and the stakeholders of Calpers. My name is...
Yes, your name.
My name is Jim Doyle. I'm an auditor partner within BDO, and I am proposed as the lead engagement partner. Excuse me.
Thank you.
I've worked with in public accounting for most of my career, spanning roughly about 26 years. In that time, I've worked on a variety of benefit plans, worked with governmental entities throughout, and currently for the past few years I've been serving as the lead engagement partner on the state of Delaware's pension system as well. With me today are a few of my colleagues, some of which specialize in various industries, or various practice areas, where we performing key roles within the engagement itself. At this time, I'd like them to take a few moments to speak about themselves and their role or their involvement. Keith?
Thank you. I'm Keith Hammond, an audit partner with BDO. Since 2005, I've spent my career in the state and local government space, auditing primarily pension plans, OPEB plans, investment authorities, financing authorities, and the like. In addition to helping Jim on the audit of state of Delaware's pension system and OPEB plans, I also serve some of BDO's other multi-billion-dollar clients, including territory government of the Virgin Islands, City of Houston, City of San Antonio, some state of Alaska agencies. Because of that experience, I'm proposed as the engagement quality control reviewer, and really what that is a second set of eyes to make sure that the team is appropriately addressing and identifying risks related to Calpers. In addition to the client service work, I also work with a number of members of our national government practice, many of whom serve on committees in the AICPA and the GFOA, in order to develop internal trainings to ensure that our professionals are quality trained in the government auditing arena, and also develop trainings for our clients as well. Tim?
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Carroll. I'm the West Region leader of the audit practice for BDO, and I'm here today to not only support Keith and Jim in their role as the engagement leaders for this, but also express our appreciation. Thanks for allowing us the opportunity to do the proposal and be invited back to present today. Calpers is definitely a priority client considered for our firm, not only in the region, but also nationally as the firm for who you are. And that's why I'm involved in this engagement from the standpoint of support to ensure the resources that are needed from our West region are being dedicated to this project. We have 10 offices here in the West. 5 of them are located in California, the 2 largest in San Francisco, and we'll say the Bay Area, San Francisco and San Jose, and Los Angeles. So that is my role here, and we appreciate you inviting us.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Russ Ehlers. I'm the Chief Information Officer for BDO. I've been in technology for 25 years, or almost 25 years. In my role as the firm's CIO, I'm responsible for delivering technology services to not only the firm, but also to client engagement teams such as this one. And it'd be my responsibility to ensure that not only that the team has the right tools and services, but the data and systems stay secure as the buck stops with me from that standpoint. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Sylvia Mack. I'm an audit director based out of our San Francisco office. I currently lead our Bay Area benefit plan practice, and I've have over 16 years of experience in the plan area. I currently serve as director on the Permanente Medical Group of plans that consists of a variety of defined contribution plans with assets in the billions, as well as health and welfare plans. My responsibility as it relates to Calpers would be to coordinate, supervise, and organize the day-to-day activities of the engagement team that would be assigned.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vishnu Patwari. I'm the audit partner in the Bay Area Asset Management practice, and we serve 120 plus private managers, fund managers with multiple strategies. I have 15 years of experience serving complex fund clients ranging from startups to multi-billion asset managers. During this tenure, I have a wide range of experience in different investment strategies and structures, including private equity and venture capital, global equities and fixed income products, derivatives, and fund of funds. Some of my representative clients are or have included Oak Tree Capital, Western Asset Management, and Silver Lake Partners. On Calpers, I'm been assigned the role of subject matter expert on investment testing, including fair value of investments. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Randy Tanaka. I'm the IS Assurance Partner for the Western Region. My role is to look at the IT systems and the corresponding controls around them. I started my career about 25 years ago doing security, so I have a unique skill set that I'm able to distinguish security from cybersecurity from audit risks. Sorry. Rich.
Good afternoon. My name's Richard McCleary, and I'm the Managing Director of Actuarial Services at BDO. My team is responsible for conducting the expert reviews for the pension and OPEB plans that BDO audits. Because of the number of plans and the complexity and the size of the plans, BDO has made a commitment to have its own in-house actuarial staff and is committed to growing that. Some of the clients that we serve, some of the multi-billion-dollar clients we serve are the state of Delaware, state of Alaska, and some others include the city of Houston and the city of Dallas Police and Fire.
Just to kind of conclude a little bit here, we're committed to audit quality and timely delivery of the audit to meet or exceed your expectations. As a national firm, as you can tell, we have a significant amount of resources to bring to bear, including another many professionals who specialize in given areas that would align with Calpers. But I really want to emphasize that even though we're a national firm, we very much operate in a very much like a team environment with one common goal of excellence towards client service. Simply put, we feel that we're very well equipped to work with an entity as significant as prestigious as Calpers and are committed to delivering the greatest quality audit. Thank you.
Do you want to take your additional 2 minutes, or you?
We would actually want to hear from you and the questions you had, so we wanted to make sure we had plenty of time for that.
Okay.
Madam Chair, could I just, I don't know who the CIO is. I mean, I didn't get his name because I don't see him on the list.
Microphone, Margaret.
My name is Russ Ehlers.
Okay, and you're not on our list, right?
No,
Is he?
should be.
Okay.
Ehlers, A-H-L-E-R-S,
Could be a,
Chief Information Officer.
that's okay. Do you have a question,
Thank you. I was
Margaret?
just checking up who's here, who's not. Thank you.
Well, I guess I'll start initially. One of the things that concerns me today in looking at the financial profile of companies we invest in are these off-balance sheet items that can impact a company's financial reality. So to what extent or what measures do you go to make sure that those items are factored in?
So, as we go through your investment profile and management's investment profile, where the management is intending to invest and what type of investment, underlying managers are investing in. We, as part of the inquiry procedures, will go through all the off-balance sheet items. We'll, go through in details in terms of understanding those items, whether those off-balance sheet item needs to be booked on the financial statements.
Okay, thank you. And hold on one sec. Mr. Slayton?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe that your proposal stated that the principal engagement partner is currently obtaining a California CPA license. Is that true? And if so, what's the status of that?
Yes, I do have a current active California license.
Okay. And if I don't mind if I ask
No, go ahead.
one more question. So your proposal also states that you don't have an office in Sacramento. So can you comment on how you plan to ensure the firm's presence and availability at our headquarters here?
Yeah, that's one of my responsibilities as being the regional leader for the audit practice. Primarily the staffing would come out of our Bay Area offices, San Francisco and San Jose. I work with the two office managing partners there, and I make sure the dedicated resources are there. One of the other advantages we have on resources, which we look at not just location, but expertise, and that's why the team that we've assembled are not all from California. We want to bring the right people to the table, and having over 1,000 employees here in the West region, we can pick from the right people to participate on the engagement as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Paquin for Betty Yee.
Thank you. Could you please explain your proposed fees and your rationale for allocating staff hours across all 5 years of the contract?
So when we go to budget the engagement, as you know, we weren't given an opportunity to ask detailed questions or meet with any of the Calpers staff. So we had to really go after the public information that's available, the financial statements, things of that nature. And basing that on our other clients and adjusting for size and scope of Calpers, we came up with what we felt was a reasonable level of effort, so the hours. And we adjusted those to, there's some administrative type hours when you start up an audit, but, we normalized that and really adjusted for things that we thought may impact on a year-to-year basis, such as, maybe the year that you have an experience study update, there's going to be heavier actuarial hours, or a year of leasing standard implementation, there's going to be some review of that. So we tried to take a holistic approach over the whole 5-year contract period, and base that critically on, again, what we see for the publicly available information that we had on Calpers, but also leveraging what we do with other statewide and large city pension systems.
Okay, thank you. And can I just ask a follow-up question?
Of course.
So you mentioned that you work with the state of Delaware's
Correct.
pension fund.
Right.
How many hours approximately do you spend on their engagement in a year?
Similar to Calpers, they have a financial statement audit. They also have a GASB 68 for a number of different sub-funds and a GASB 75 schedules. All in, that's about 3,300 hours.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Miller?
Yeah, it's kind of a two-part here. Could you talk a little bit about, kind of expand on your firm's actuarial staffing level and their experience, and then tell us a little bit about the advantages or disadvantages you see in having your own in-house actuarial function versus kind of contracting out with another firm?
Yeah, so we've got, right now within our staff, we've got 2 actuaries, a third one that just passed the exams and will be applying shortly. So we'll have 3 by this spring. We're a small staff as it stands right now, but growing. That staff is part of the compensation and benefits practice within BDO. And we believe that by having, our own staff that's self-contained, we've got tools and we've got surveys. We've got the experience that it takes to review the assumptions for the audit teams. I'm the most senior actuary, and I've got 31 years of experience. Our next senior has about 25 years of experience.
Thank you.
Okay, to get up. Okay. Ms. Brown?
Thank you. Can you just tell us what sets your firm apart from the other public accounting firms we're considering today?
It's funny. I've been in public accounting almost 27 years now. I've worked for other firms. I've been 10 years now with BDO. And I get that question a lot because you think about why did you come to BDO or leave another firm? And it really comes down to our core values and our culture at BDO compared to other firms. I know you're going to ask this question to other firms as well, so you're going to get a variety of answers. But when we look at our core values, and they're actually, we believe in, they're on the back of each of our business cards, and we carry around with them every day. And we looked at the core values you have on your wall. We believe we align up with that. And I never want to be negative about other firms because every firm's a great firm. Otherwise, they wouldn't be around. But when we come down to our core values and we think about people first and we think about what Calpers' mission is providing for people, I truly believe that's what we're about, is our people and growing our people. And just the other values of exceptional audit quality, embracing changes, being innovative, and all the other things that come along with that. So I don't want to say why I think your question is why we're better.
What sets your firm apart?
Sets your firm apart. That's
you
exactly.
could say it means better.
Yeah. Well, look, we always think we're better, right? And you're going to hear that 3 other times today, I'm sure, as well. But it's really for allowing us to prove that to our clients. And when you speak to our clients, I think you would come back with the answers I'm giving you, is that we look for solutions for problems. We don't try to make problems.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Slayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Calpers, along with all public pension funds, are impacted by new regulatory issues as they come up. So how do you ensure that your staff is up to date with the regulatory framework and the level of changes that can occur in our space?
Yeah, so we have a very robust, what we call CPE program, and that involves kind of broad-based learning platform for everybody across the firm. As CPAs, we have to maintain a certain level of learning. But then it goes beyond that. So in our government group working on Calpers, everybody would have to have a significant amount of Yellow Book credits or government auditing specific credits. And so every year in DC, we hold an annual nonprofit and government conference. It's June. And we ensure that we have targeted topics to address the needs of our critical clients. I've presented there before on implementation of GASB 74, excuse me. And so, that would be an avenue that the teams would all be, physically present together and be able to learn. We also have a lot of web content that we deliver to our teams. I know Sylvie can speak on the interaction that the benefit plan teams have on a monthly basis. There's calls, that not only update on learning, but also on logistical issues, maybe working with a certain service provider, State Street, or for example, how to better get reports or interface with them. On the regulatory front, we also have a dedicated national thought leadership team that responds proactively to various things that aren't impactful for your financial statements necessarily, but on the investment front, things that the SEC or PCOB, things that your committee would be concerned of, and we respond as a firm, but we also appreciate and provide feedback to our clients who have a desire.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Could you also please describe your firms, because it's obviously something that's a concern to us, your data protection capabilities? We are the largest asset owner in the largest capital market, as well as have health information on almost 2 million current and active retirees.
From a cybersecurity perspective, we have a dedicated team led by our CISO, our Chief Information Security Officer, who reports dually up through myself and up through the Risk Committee as well. We have approximately 8 people on that committee or on that team that are dedicated to cybersecurity and looking at it from not only a risk perspective, but also from a technology perspective as well, to ensure that that we are protecting our data and protecting data and information we receive from our clients in a and also from a law standpoint as well, ensuring that if we do get HIPAA information or anything like that, that it's handled in accordance to our the industry practices. In regard to as we move forward with this, it's probably it is one of our top areas within not only IT but also within the firm. We took cybersecurity very seriously, and data protection. As you can't basically turn on the evening news and not look at some sort of breach information out there. And our firm has taken a very proactive stance with that, and to invest in it not only in the technology side but also on the training with the staff and the partners as well. We have a robust training program that everybody goes through, not only internally and externally as well with that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Rafina?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a two-part question. First, does your firm currently perform any work for Calpers? If so, and if awarded this contract, how will your firm ensure its independence to perform the financial statement audit?
So we've circulated an independence conflict check out prior to bidding on the work for Calpers and received no responses. BDO has done some work for the system in the past regarding some investment valuation support, but we believe that all the safeguards and would be in check so that we would remain independent.
So you work?
Here, hold on. Go ahead.
Are you working for Calpers now? Do you currently perform work for Calpers?
I believe that service has ended.
Thank you.
Mr. Miller?
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to follow up on the independence. We have a database that everybody needs to report their investments into as well to ensure there's no conflicts that are there, as well as circulating independence checks within the firm. So it's a two-way part to ensure we have independence within the firm.
I'm sorry, and I just wanted to add to I think the evaluation work was back in 2017, and again, it was concluded at that point in time.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Your proposal states that the principal engagement partner is currently obtaining a California CPA. Oh, did he?
Yeah, we got that.
Okay. I missed that one while I was multitasking.
That's okay.
Based on the references you provided for audits your firm has performed for other pension systems, was your firm chosen through the client's open bid RFP process or some other method?
I'm sorry, I believe it's through the open bid process?
Are you talking?
Like Delaware, Alaska.
Sorry, are you talking on the other opportunities?
Right, some of the other
opportunities.
Oh, sorry, other clients.
Yes.
As a clarification too, similar to other public bidding opportunities, oftentimes there's opportunities for extensions of contracts, and we find generally that our clients are quite pleased with us, and if there's an opportunity to extend a contract, that they would.
Mr. Slayton?
Thank you. So, as part of any audit, there's always this look at internal controls. So, can you talk a moment about your philosophy of, I know you're not auditing the internal controls, but you are looking at them. So, what's your philosophy in regard to how deeply do you go into looking at the issue of internal controls, the adequacy of internal controls?
I'm going to start and have Keith give some color commentary. In year one, we do a fairly deep dive into internal controls. Again, we're doing it from a standpoint of risk assessment, but we're looking really as to how to do our audit as effective as possible. So the more detail we get into that, we certainly can look to see, okay, where do we need to focus our time and so forth. So.
Again, as part of the risk assessment process, we're required to review all the control activities that are relevant to the audit process that could have a significant impact. And as part of that, we'll also interface with the internal audit team here, as well as probably members of yourself, to understand what the entity feels are risks or potential control issues identified. And at that point, once we identify any what we call material weaknesses or significant deficiencies, those would be brought to those charged with governance, yourself, and management would have to provide a response to those control issues. So we look forward to reviewing internal controls because we really think that's an opportunity for an organization, for us to use our collective experience to help an organization mitigate their risk.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to go back to your response to question one, which is what sets you apart is that you find solutions to problems, and I want to sort of tag team that onto our other question, which is about your experience in auditing large public pension systems. And because you can always come across some troubling findings. I'm just wondering how you work to solve those problems with your clients, your pension clients. Without naming, you don't have to name names.
No, it's funny, and it's about being a partner together in this. It's not us versus them, or we're spying, right? Where the auditors are in here, you can't talk to. We want to become partners with our clients. We need to know what you know for us to do our job appropriate. Like Keith just said, interviews with those charged with governance. What are your concerns? How do we work through those concerns and work with management at the same time? So it's a balancing act to that. But you can't get through any problem having a adversarial relationship with management or those charged with governance. They have to come together. There's just currently probably one of our largest wins we just had was for, and it's not a pension plan, but it's a large public company. Their current auditor was basically resigning and leaving them. and they had to reissue. We're in the current process right now, reissuing 2 years of audits for them in 4 quarters. And we started that relationship with them in September. And the partner who is not here today, did a magnificent job of building a relationship with the audit committee chair and the CFO to get them comfortable with how we get through. And we weren't even engaged at this point, but for 3 months worked through solutions to their problems of how to get to the point of how to have them change auditors. At the 8th hour, they came in and a board member brought in another firm to compete against us. The audit committee still went with BDO because they said, for 3 months, we've been working on solutions with them, not putting up roadblocks in the process. So again, I go back to the teaming. We're partners in this. We work together, but we keep our independence at the same time. So.
Thank you.
Good. Yeah, seeing no further questions and having 12 seconds left, I wanted to thank you all for your time. If you'd like to take these last few seconds to say something, feel free. But on behalf of the board and the committee, I want to thank you. Okay, thank you.
I don't see that Russ guy anywhere in their proposal, just so you know.
Okay. Okay. At this time, I'd like to invite staff to have the representatives of Clifton Larson Allen to join the auditorium. Thanks. Me? Oh.
What are we doing wrong? Oh, it's right here. It's right here. I protected it for you. Are you in trouble? Yes. Yes. Okay. Which is why when I said okay. Keep track of what happened. Okay.
Okay. Hello and welcome. I wanted to let you know that you'll have 10 minutes for your presentation. We really are appreciative of your time here this afternoon. And staff will start the clock. As you see, the time will start running as soon as the first one of you begins to speak. And then at the end of 10 minutes, there's going to be a 20-minute question and answer in which we'll be asking you questions. And we look forward to hearing your presentation, and feel free to start.
Show them how to turn on their microphones.
Oh, I'm sorry. Each of you, it's to their left. Right.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Thomas Ray. I'm a principal at Clifton Larson Allen, and I actually head up what we like to call our national public pension practice. So the team that I've assembled here to my right are members of that team. They spend the majority of their billable hours throughout the year working with large retirement systems throughout the year. So I'm going to, in the interest of time, I'm not going to have them introduce themselves, but I certainly hope that maybe there's a few minutes at the end that they can add to my comments, and if not, hopefully they can certainly encourage them all to address any of your questions. So again, it's a pleasure to be here, and both exciting and again, really a culmination of what I believe started about 17 years ago when the firm really got into state and local government practice, and I found myself really drawn towards public pension systems and interested both in the investment side and just kind of how the nuances and how they're different from ERISA and Department of Labor type plans. And over the last 15 or 16 years, that practice has grown quite significantly. And so, as I mentioned, the folks here represent team members of that growth, and they work on retirement systems most times of the year. A little bit of background on Clifton Larson Allen. So we are the 9th largest firm in the country. We do no publicly traded companies, and that is intentional. So again, to be the 9th largest firm in terms of revenues and not do a lot of large Sarbanes-Oxley publicly traded companies is significant to get to that point. Our focus is in the public sector. So again, most of our folks, we have 5,500 people nationwide in 99 offices. So certainly a lot of resources to be had. In California, our offices, we have over 400 people. Again, that are in terms of resources. So a little bit, really, my next point is really why CLA for the members of the committee. The first and probably the most important, we do more pension systems than any other firm in the country, including the 3 folks that you're interviewing today. We've had the opportunity to even work with your excellent CEO at Washington DRS in a past life. The folks that we will be bringing to you will be a dedicated, passionate team, passionate about pensions. As I mentioned, they spend 95% of their billable hours throughout the year working with governmental retirement systems, both defined benefit and defined contribution. The next point I wanted to make is that it's just a different kind of audit, and I'm going to kind of circle back to that a little bit at the end. But what do I mean by that? A different kind of audit or a different kind of approach? Again, because we only do this all the time, we have a really tailored approach. Every audit firm does risk-based auditing and has audit programs they follow. We have customized audit programs specific to governmental retirement, defined benefit, and defined contribution plans. Another item that makes things different is that a few years ago, the firm and many firms around the country had data analytics initiatives, if you will. And our firm, like everyone else, said, hey, how do you make audits better? And data, there was a national data analytics initiative at the firm. I'm really proud in the sense that this team has really run with that data analytics, and there's been a lot of efficiencies that we can gain in those audits, and I think it makes the audits of retirement systems better. We're able to see so traditional auditing is sampling and things like that. We're able to see entire data sets, so we can do data analytics, not just from a completeness of the population and validating the completeness of the population, but also doing, like with benefits, we can see every check that's cut, and then those data analytics become a lot more powerful as we build on them year over year, and then we can see anomalies, trends and anomalies, and then focus on things that look odd or out of place. And so rather than needle in the haystack type of sampling, we're able to kind of really drill down on things that look odd. Another big part of this project is obviously the employer census testing. GASB 67 a few years ago, and now GASB 75. We are leveraging a lot off of data analytics in terms of getting employer payroll information and then matching entire employers, not just 25 or 50 employees at a various employer. We're able to get all of their data and then match it up with your actuarial census files and really get a good handle on the population as a whole versus looking at 25 personnel files or 50 personnel files at a particular employer. Again, we have actuaries that we work with, and those actuaries specialize in the government space. So they specifically work with GASB clients, and that has been another thing. So again, some firms have their actuaries, but they might be a jack of all trades. The actuaries that we work with are GASB specific, and we work with only them. And that has borne a lot of fruit in the years subsequent to GASB 67 and 68 and 74 and 75, in the sense that now there's two valuations. There's your funding valuation, and you have your accounting valuation, which is different and separate and has its own differences. And we have actually looked at the systems actuaries valuations, if you will, and had really good feedback and comments, and even found some issues in working with our actuaries. We also, as part of our group, have an IT or business risk services that, again, their primary role and focus is on controls, both on benefit calculations, member reporting data. But again, in recent years, we really challenged that group to kind of step up their game. And outside of just access controls and data controls, they've really done some really awesome value add, both in the account privacy, cybersecurity, and IT risk assessments. And then lastly, and I know I only have a few minutes, so I definitely wanted to get to this, probably the most, a sensitive subject, but I'd be remiss to not discuss it. You went through the point scoring, and we're number one right now, and that's because we have the lowest fee. I believe that if we had the highest fee, we'd be of value. I mean, we'd be the best value of the four firms you're working with. Again, I see them in the marketplace. I know that no one's really doing what we do. I feel that fee is right. I also know that the biggest portion of that fee is that employer census testing, and we know, even if I take your entire 3,000 employer population and take a really conservative sample size, I believe that the fee that we proposed is more than fair in terms of getting that done. And again, I don't think that I'm short selling. I know that I saw the other fees, and I won't say any more about that. But I do believe our fee is appropriate and fair. And then finally. And lastly, my last comments, and then, like I said, I might have a minute for someone to chime in, is that I mentioned that we're really excited about the possibility of working with Calpers. In regards to your current strategic plan, we really believe that we can assist. We're not going to be able to help you achieve market returns, and we're certainly not going to be able to help you lower healthcare costs. But I do believe that some of the things that I talked about in terms of the data analytics and our approach kind of are in lockstep with simplifying your programs and improving service and reducing costs. And I talked about our fee and streamlining those operations to gain efficiencies and improve productivity. I also believe, again, I talked about the IT and the data analytics. I do believe that that helps in enhancing the compliance and risk functions, and we continue to up our game on the cyber piece, and certainly would be partners in assisting Calpers in improving that. So with that kind of wraps up my comments. I know I've got 51 seconds, but if there's anything else. I do have, today is my daughter's 7th birthday, so if that should be testament to like my passion for being here. And she did ask that I win the Calpers audit, so that's what she wanted for her birthday. So you might not need to cancel the rest of the interviews. So, and again, I will open it up to anyone else.
No.
Anything?
23 seconds.
You can just say, or we can just go right into the Q&A. Yep, I got 15 seconds.
Well, I guess we'll start. Well, happy birthday, first of all, to your daughter. Before I open it up to questions, and you're correct, I just wanted a clarification because your fee was about the range of 40% less. And so I just wanted to make sure that, that you understood, or could you, the full scope of the engagement.
I 100% understand it. As I said, this is all I do. And we actually have clients that have as many employers. Certainly not about to say, well, try to compare in terms of complexity. I know what it's going to take. And as I said, I can just do the math in my head and say, at a conservative sample to do what needs to be done on the employer testing right now comes out to about $10,000 per employer. I think that is more than enough, quite honestly. So let's say I did 150 was my sample size. That's about 5% of that 3,000, which is kind of where that's GASB 67 employer testing sampling, the audit guide kind of where things fall. Again, could be more, could be less. Again, I know that it doesn't that it costs that. So I stop short of saying anything about the other fees. I just know what it takes.
Yeah, so it was just understanding, how you arrived at those hours.
And here's really, quite honestly, in this competitive bid market, it's so often that people you see what's being paid, and then things go out to RFP, and competitors like to just say, oh, let me look in the CAFR and see what they paid, and then cut it by 15 or 20%.
Oh wait, what's with the time?
Oh, because the timer didn't start.
Oh, I'm okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
But we built our fee from the ground up. We didn't take your current fee and give it a haircut.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Brown.
Thank you. I like zero-based budgeting. I know your fee sets you apart, but what else sets your firm apart from the other public accounting firms we're considering, and why should we select your firm?
I'm going to answer, and it sounds like you're turning your mic on, so I'll certainly let you do it. At its simplest, as I said, hopefully you've seen our list of clients. Again, it rivals any firm. I think it's bigger than any other firm. And another thing that would set it apart is that dedicated team. I know that there's no firm that has a team that spends 100% of their billable hours in this space. They do 1 or 2. Yes, the firm may have a list of clients that may rival ours, but you would be getting people that only do this year round.
Yeah, and just to follow, my name is Jason Ostrowski. We didn't get full introductions. I'm also a principal with Clifton Larson Allen. I work in the government pension group with Tom. I spend 100% of my year doing this as well, and I think that and the data analytics are the two differentiators, I think, and that's kind of how we sell it. Always, we spend 100% of our year working with government pensions. We go to the conferences, NASRA, P2F2. We get the CP. Our whole team is essentially focused in the government pension space. And then the second that I think is another key differentiator that Tom also touched on was the data analytics. And we have Ryan Merriman, he's firm-wide data analytics specialist. We have built out a full data analytics approach around benefit payments, contributions, even on the healthcare side, claims. And we also not only do that at year end, but the plan, and hopefully it's reflected in the proposal, is a continuous approach to that throughout the year. So not even waiting till year end and getting a full dump of the data, but doing that throughout the year. And then there's a multitude of benefits, and Ryan maybe can speak a little bit to that, around data analytics, where there's even management benefits. And so I think those are the two things that we do that I just don't see in this space, in the public pension space, having all the way down to the staff level, managers, principals, and the expertise in that space and focusing on that, and then the data analytics.
Yeah. To fill in a bit there, the data analytic methodology was really born as an investigative approach. There's planning, information gathering, the data analytics, and then the follow-up. And all of that is very strategic to look for risk. So we're taking concepts of the fraud triangle, we're taking concepts of the industry and the knowledge of the team, and we're designing analytics to find those risks, to identify those anomalies specifically. We're not getting a large data set and taking a random sample of 25. We're looking for something that may be standing out. And with that, we find the errors, we find the mistakes, or at least we're more likely to. So it's very powerful and efficient, too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Paquin for Betty E.
Thank you. So your proposal responds to question 14D regarding the actual work with the long-term care program within the last 5 years states NA. Could you elaborate on this response, and how do you plan to meet this experience?
So I do apologize for that. I think that was a misinterpretation of that. We do have we work with long-term care actuaries as part of the firm has a large healthcare practice, so we would have specialized actuaries that only work with long-term care facilities and or clients.
Okay,
so the NA is erroneous in the sense that we're not going to do that or not address that. We had a team of actuaries that, as I said, that work in the GASB space, and those are our prime actuaries for both the GASB 67 and 74 valuations as part of the and working with internal actuarial staff here. But we will have separate actuaries that only specialize in long-term care.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Slayton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Two quick questions. One is, I think your proposal states that the principal engagement partner is currently obtaining a California CPA license. Is that true? And if so, can you provide a status on that?
It's in I don't know what you know about getting it. I used to have my license in California many years ago, and then when the firm, when reciprocity came out and you really only needed one license, the firm probably for to save a couple bucks kind of gave up all except my primary residence. It's in process.
Calpers is constantly impacted, as all pension systems are, by new laws and regulations. So how will you ensure that your firm is up to date on the regulatory framework as it changes?
I mean, there's a few answers to that. As I said, we will have California principals that will be as part of the team and will be a resource to you throughout the year, and that's certainly one of their roles. And I believe probably the committee knows that Calpers typically doesn't sneeze without everybody kind of knowing about it. So anything that's going to impact Calpers will be tracking, and certainly, as I said, I've got 400 professionals in California, and part of the proposal team are folks. I've got commitments from the managing partners throughout our California offices, and again, they will be working with us to assist in keeping abreast. But I mentioned passion before. This is all I do, so I'm kind of geeky about public pensions, and I'm certainly would be very diligent personally, and as with the whole team, in keeping abreast. And as I said, we also have our California folks that would make sure they're reminding me if by chance we miss something.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Miller.
Yeah. What are the advantages, disadvantages to having in-house actuaries versus subcontracting for this work while performing financial statement audits for Calpers?
I have my actuary, so I'm gonna let him talk, but I'm gonna tell you exactly, my opinion, hopefully in 10 or 30 seconds. This was what I did when GASB 67. Obviously, we had funding, and that was always in your actuarial section, and we looked at the valuation and for reasonableness and the assumptions. And when 67 kind of came into play, the smartest thing I ever did was not use our internal actuaries. We have internal actuaries, but they have they're not skilled or schooled in GASB pronouncements. So we work solely with outsourced actuaries that, again, in a very similar fashion, but in a not audit fashion, live and breathe governmental valuations. And with that, I'll kind of turn it over to our outsourced actuary.
Good afternoon. My name is Jason Franken, and I'm a fellow of the Society of Actuaries. So just a little bit about our relationship with Clifton Larson Allen. We have been working with them for the better part of 6 or 7 years now, and it's the audit that's part of what we do. But our primary, my firm's primary role is to be the consulting actuary for pension funds and post-retirement medical funds across the country. We work with over 300 or 400 different funds across the country, from smaller local plans to statewide plans. And so, as Tom alluded to, this is all we do. We live and breathe with pension consulting work, and so as a result, we're bringing expertise that the actuaries that they had in-house did not have. And so one of the things during our relationship, we've been able to uncover a number of issues that have been the issues and calculations that have been performed by the fund's actuaries. And I know that I believe all of your calculations or most of them are done in-house, but we do review all of these calculations. And in one case, we found, over $1 billion error in one of the calculations of the net pension obligation, that net pension liability that the funding or the funds actuary had missed. And so I think what we're bringing to the table is expertise, and similar to this team, the Clifton Larson Allen team, who is completely dedicated to performing work for public pension plans. That's what we do on an actuarial basis. So you are getting expertise from people who are living, breathing, doing this, all year round. And again, I think that it has been a very good relationship. In fact, I think most actuaries, fund actuaries that have Clifton Larson Allen as their auditor are not usually thrilled with that, because we bring a lot of issues to them. We're not just rubber stamping everything. We're digging into it, and I think a lot of accounting firms, auditing firms that I deal with, they don't have that expertise, and a lot of times they'll just rubber stamp everything without necessarily investigating issues that we think are obvious. And so again, I think that's really that expertise is something that we bring to the table.
Thank you. I'm just going to interject here. Can you please describe your firm's data protection capabilities? We're one of the largest asset owner in the largest capital market. We have over 2 million current
now
and active.
This is awesome, because now I get to introduce Randy Romas, who I was curious if he was going to be able to say something, so I'll let you have it.
Thank you. My name is Randy Romas. I'm the principal in charge of our cybersecurity and IT audit practice. So I'm a consultant, but I do help the firm and advise the firm. I serve on a couple of strategic committees. We've got a number of layers of defense in that regard. All of these things are fully encrypted, and we test that regularly. Our firm engages an outside third party to perform a security assessment of the firm every year, a full-blown penetration test, and we use that to improve our processes, understand where our exceptions are, and safeguard our systems. Where appropriate, we have some third-party service providers that we utilize to manage and host applications. Those systems are vetted ahead of time for our firm's security standards, and then they're tested as well. So we follow an approach of defining a secure architecture, whether it's our in-house systems or our hosted systems, and then we review and test that regularly. Not only does the firm perform independent testing when they're getting ready to roll out something new, a new application, a new service, a new process, frequently our team will be engaged to test the systems, validate that the security is as the firm expects prior to going live with the new system. When that translates into serving you all, we have secure email messaging and file exchange portals so that we can manage the exchange of data as we need it. We have document retention standards so that we don't first, we don't take in data that we don't really need. Can't really breach data if you don't have it. Number two, when we're done with the data, we get rid of it. So we delete it, we purge it, and we have retention policies and processes to manage that to make sure that it actually occurs. Did that address your question? Was there something else you were looking for?
No, that did. Thank you very much. I so appreciate it. Mr. Rafina?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a two-part question. Does your firm currently perform any work for Calpers? And if so, and if awarded this contract, how would your firm ensure its independence to perform the financial statement audit?
So the answer to your first question is no, and then I would assume that the second part is not applicable.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Slayton?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So in every audit, the issue of internal controls is always a topic of discussion. So could you share a little bit about your philosophy regarding the continuum of testing internal controls all the way to auditing internal controls? And I know that audits don't typically include the auditing of internal controls, but would you comment on your philosophy on that?
Sure. You actually want to take this one, or Randy? I just want someone to get your. We brought everyone out. I want everyone to kind of at least have an opportunity, and then I will chime in.
Philosophy for testing internal controls. So in any audit, you do a risk assessment, and we would do a robust risk assessment, obviously, of Calpers. I think the industry expertise certainly allows us to, from a best practice perspective, especially, when we're going through the process of walking through your controls, identifying key controls, identifying the significant risk areas, of just sharing things that we've even seen at other retirement systems around the country. But as far as the philosophy, we do that. We do the risk assessment. We identify the significant audit areas, benefits, contributions, claims payments, et cetera. Identify the key controls over those areas, and then where we deem it appropriate, we'll perform tests of controls. If that's something where we're attempting to achieve below what would be like a high control risk. So if we're trying to get to moderate or low control risk, particularly in those high volume transaction areas, especially, like I said, the claims payments, the contributions, the benefits, then we will then test those controls. If they're operating effectively, that allows us to go strictly to an analytics approach on those areas. Other areas, investments, we're walking through controls. We may not be testing controls. We may be taking more of a substantive approach, but still there's a full walkthrough of those controls, of understanding what the controls are in place over any of the significant audit areas.
And I'll just piggyback off of that. Again, one thing that I failed to mention in my approach, or a different kind of audit, and another effort to kind of gain efficiencies in this audit and be different. So I might address a few questions. Is one of my goals for this audit, if we were successful in this bid, is to really use that data analytics, leverage some of the successes that we've had in other retirement systems, but probably different than any other retirement system. I'd really love to work with staff and do continuous auditing using that data analytics. I'll just use benefit payments or contributions and thing where if we could get the data sets on a monthly basis and then have a team locally that and with under Ryan's leadership that basically was testing on a rolling 12. I think there would be some, if there were issues we'd be basically testing all 12 months. If there are any issues, we'd be able to bring them to management. And I do think that kind of leads, and I appreciate that question, because it leads to what I hope to make differentiates ourselves. I really believe that Calpers is a perfect case study to do continuous auditing, and I do believe that it would also benefit Calpers staff, internal audit as well, if we were successful in doing that. So again, if we weren't successful, I'd still be able to do your audit and issue an opinion on the capper. But I really believe that that's a powerful tool and would be a big differentiator.
Okay, thank you. Your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for coming. So appreciate your
Thanks
time.
for having us.
Can we take a 5-minute break?
Yes, yeah. We'll take a 5-minute break before calling in Deloitte and Touche.